Hey Jacob,
Hello,
how you doing?
I am well. How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm ready to talk qualification.
Qualification? Perfect. Rob, did you know that qualification doesn't just happen with leads?
Yeah, it's almost a continuous process from the first conversation all the way through. I feel like we should be repeatedly qualifying, keep our ears open for red flags or constraints, right?
I mean, I think we're done. For those of you who aren't aware of this, that was everything you needed to know about qualification. This is the B2B Growth Lab. Rob is with me. I'm Jacob. Zach will be back, hopefully. And yeah, today we're talking about qualification, scorecards, funnel efficiency. And remember, there's a funnel on either side of the transaction, not just leading to that first check, but where lifetime value really lives and resides is inside of that qualification. High volume of anything is worthless unless you are qualified. If your qualification process is broken, you will be wasting resources chasing bad fit leads from lead all the way through the conversion cycle, nagging people who don't want to be there,
Right.
having your sales team annoyed with conversations where they're convincing people to do stuff they don't want to do. And then it gets worse because you've taken their money and you're on the hook for stuff. I'll share a story in a minute. I was sitting next to a founder on Saturday, and I just watched it in real time, and he behaved like a true founder, the way he took responsibility for it. But today, we're here to unpack how to qualify on every step of the process, the stuff that Rob said earlier, so that you protect your funnel, you prioritize high value work, and you keep everyone laser focused on closing that deal again and again and again and again. And I don't mean inside the sales process, I mean inside the fulfillment chain.
All the way. Yeah.
All the way. Absolutely. So, what do you want to cover first on this?
I think there's like so much cadence, right? I'm thinking like I just closed the deal, and as part of that closure, one of the things I asked was, let's set up a cadence to talk leading up to and indeed after fulfillment. So we
Mhm.
make sure that we maintain communication throughout the entire process, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we can stay aligned, we can stay informed, make sure that my customer is happy, right? Like always on the lookout for any red flag, any hesitancy, any anxiety, any right constraints. Oh, the state got tight with cash. We need
Yeah.
another 30 days on the invoice. Okay. That's not a no, that's a please wait, right?
Mhm.
But we got to be aware of it. So yeah, set up the cadence. I love that. It's not just to the end of the funnel. I already closed the sale.
Yeah.
Let's keep that cadence going indeed until after we do the thing. And then we do a post-mortem in my case, right? Like, how
Yeah.
did it go? And
Yeah.
then we look forward and say, we're going to do this again next year so we can measure growth over time, right?
Yeah.
Keep the discussion going. Qualification is not a one-time thing. It's a continuous thing.
It's so true. We just did two onboardings in different segments. One was a project based piece,
Yeah.
and it started last week. And yesterday was the first of the 4 review calls every week for the next 4 weeks
Right.
to get it delivered. And then we'll have check ins after that.
Right.
And that related to that project, there's already the once a week support call that's baked in to that system because it's like you acquired the tech, we got to make sure you're using it. That's version 1. Version 2, it's another guy who's onboarding into a different level of service, and it's just like, okay, you're in, here are your 7 times a week support calls until you get your 4x ROI out of this, because that's the promise of that service, right? We work with you until you get there.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. The cadence is key, and I think the environment is a really important thing. And I love leading this into, and then what happens with the internals? Like, where's the internal cadence where you're just like, how's the team doing? How is the project deliverable doing? Are we on track? Because I have to report this thing. So yeah, I think those are super critical steps for anybody to put in place. And one of the words in the outline, a 3.5-hour conversation I had on Friday where I'm going into a company to work on something. So I did a little bit of an onsite. The word that was repeated over and over was handoff. And I said I was going to tell this story, but that's where things fell down on Saturday. I was sitting next to a founder, just a good friend, I think a great business person. His company is on a trajectory.
Yeah.
And there were 4 people involved. 1, the client. 2, the salesperson who took that client in and really onboarded a one-man shop into a small business service, mid-sized business service organization.
Okay.
Questionable, right? And then the conversation on Saturday was the team lead for sales and the owner of the organization saying, hey, something didn't work because this customer is calling saying, where's my thing? I bought a thing. I didn't get my thing. And my friend's first response was like, it's Saturday of a long weekend. Does he know that? And, it's like, yes, that was communicated, but also the person in the sales role did make the promise. And, the immediate response after assessing that was, we really need to have a talk with this person because they said yes to the wrong buyer.
Right.
And refund him immediately, 100% right now, because the fit wasn't there. Right. So they just tried to clean it up as quickly as humanly possible, which I think was the right move. But it was interesting to just watch how clean that decision-making process was and how, in this case, the customer was right. Right. And the sale to that customer was the thing that was corrected. It was the wrong.
Yeah. Here's Zach.
He's back.
Speaking of wrong, here's Zach.
All the time. Just ask my wife.
We're just talking about the perpetuity of qualification, that it's not just at the top of your funnel, but it lives all the way through, indeed, until after delivery, Zach. So that'll pull you right up to speed. I told Jacob
go ahead.
A story. I'm sure you got a story.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I don't know if I'll share it yet, but I do have many stories. No, I think it's important to qualify all the way through the lead. I mean, and this is one of those things that it's like, if you're on the other side of that's not being qualified, you think you've been qualified. And
Yes.
when you get through and begin using the product or service, if you haven't actually been qualified, you'll know. It'll hit you like a ton of bricks and you'll get really pissed off, right?
Yep.
Like,
Right.
Yep.
and so it's like, with salespeople, this is one of those things, and this is something that I do myself. I get to the no as quickly as possible, right? Like,
Right.
There are times when I deliberately will try and make them try and tell me, prove to me why they think they're qualified, just because if you genuinely believe that your product or service is for everyone, you're lying to yourself and you're completely delusional.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so I know that's harsh, but it's it really is that way. I think that we really don't do a good job of saying, listen, we're not for everybody, and we're going to charge the right price to make sure that we can operate, right? But sometimes we get the Scrooge McDuck dollar signs in the eyes and decide that we need to put out a slipshod service or try and jury rig what we do to fit alternative markets because it's kind of the same thing. No, it's not. I'm sorry. There's a difference between a dentist and an orthodontist. There's a difference between a veterinarian and a veteran, right? Like a couple of letters makes a big difference. And I think that when we try and do these services and shoehorn them in, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And many entrepreneurs do this, particularly in the SaaS space. I see it all the time in the SaaS space, just because they say, our product's so great, and hey, you should use this, and you should use this, and you should use this. And they see use cases everywhere, but they don't stop and think about like the chain effect, like the add-on effect of what happens.
Mm-hmm. And this happens inside of all sorts of organizations as well, right? If that's misunderstood, then it's the telephone game, and it could be misinterpreted 17 times over, right? Mm-hmm. It reminds me what you're talking about, Zach. It's one of my dad's favorite jokes. I don't know if it's officially a dad joke, but he's like, "Oh, take the cat in a taxi to the dentist. I thought you said the taxidermist." Different outcomes if you don't have that clarity.
Yeah. And again, it's like, just take the time. Don't be afraid to lose the sale, right? Mm-hmm. This sounds very trite and overly used and cliche, whatever you want to say. But this whole idea of a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, right? If I have a scarcity mindset, then this might be the only deal I ever get, and I'm going to do whatever I get to close that deal. If I have an abundance mindset, then I'm going to say, you know what? This isn't a good fit for you. This isn't a good fit for me. Something else will come along. Let's get you where you need to go, mm-hmm. right? And really genuinely putting your customer first. And that's just something that I don't see a lot of businesses do as often as they should. But the businesses that do sure do well.
Let's go one further on that, Zach, right? Yay. That's one no out of the 100 I need to get to the yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the mind hack, right? Like, no, great. We save some time. Hard no, right? All the body language, right? It's firm. It's not an objection. It's just, right? Shake their hand. All my best, right? 99 more to go, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's go. I wonder sometimes too, how to hold salespeople accountable for diligence here in qualification. So let's do a really destructive hypothetical.
Yeah.
Say there was a company that installed wind turbines or solar farms, and the sales team is compensated only on top line revenue, not on margin or profitability. So they're up in Maine and they sell a contract based on a state grant that expires at the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
So the salesperson sells, right? $20, $40, $80 million solar farm to be built in Maine between November and March, because we got to be right. And then hands that flaming bag of operations problems to ops.
Yeah.
And goes and cashes their check, right? And then starts,
yes.
Where is my money? I sold it. I deserve to be paid. Well, guess what? You missed the qualification, right? And hello, sales leaders, hold them accountable. The when matters when you're doing construction, right?
Yeah.
My reflex to that question was actually the way to hold every salesperson accountable is you employ them in onboarding for a period of time. And I think that goes back to where I first learned it, which is, I put myself through school, waitering and bartending.
Right.
And everybody in the entire restaurant had to spend a week at Expo, knowing what a deliverable plate of food looks like.
Yes.
And until you do know that, you don't get to do any other job, because obviously that's a key point of restaurants. And
right.
Yeah, just to be able to know what that finished product actually looks like is probably the result-driven information that half of salespeople are missing.
I would agree with that. However, I would say that incentive structures make salespeople awfully squirrely. They really, really do. Look at what happened with Wells Fargo, right? You worked your way through college waiting tables and bartending. I worked my way through college as a teller at Wells Fargo.
Right.
And I'll tell you, that incentive structure that they put in place, because I was there when it was there, it was brutal, guys. Like, we had people who would form secret alliances with the different private bankers just so that they could get those sales to come across their books. And it was all completely fictional, right? And I also spent some time working at a small local credit union. And one thing that happened is, without getting into the details, none of us knew, but the branch manager and the service manager were working together to basically commit senior abuse and fraud. And looking back and comparing the two, they were very, very similar, the behaviors.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the hardest things that you can do is set up but most valuable is set up the right incentive structure for your sales team to make sure that qualification is actually happening, right? And part of the incentive could be, hey, we'll pay you X dollars up front for closing the sale. We'll pay you more if that person stays on for 12 months.
And with modern systems, to drag this over into Jacob's realm, right? With modern systems, insert CRM here.
Yeah.
Right. The required field definitions, right? I got to have these 12 answers, right? I got, or you can't click save, right? It's red flagged, or it goes on the report, right? Yeah. You're not capturing build date, target build date. You're not capturing, right? Red flag this. You're not capturing who's involved, right? We gotta have accountability. We need governance, oversight, right? Otherwise you end up with really pissed off customers, right? They will find out, to Jacob's point. They do find out. You get buyer's remorse, people pissed off. That's not our environment. You can't dig in Maine in February, right? It happens.
Yeah. And I think that, circling this back, it's if you can set up the right incentive structure for sales, right, then you need to make sure that the incentive structure aligns for marketing and for product and for operations as well, right? I say this all the time, but it's a business is like the human body, because your liver, that's down here. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. But your liver, if your liver fails, it's going to kill the rest of you.
Yep.
Right? Yep. If your lungs fail, it's going to kill the rest of you. If you get throat cancer, it will kill the rest of you. Right? Mm-hmm. So what happens to one part of the body impacts the rest of the body, because it's a very fine-tuned, intricate system. Same thing happens in a business. If you put poison in the mouth of the business through marketing, because marketing's bringing in bad leads, what's going to happen? It's going to poison the rest of the business. And it's going to damage the rest of the business and could potentially end up killing the business. If you put in nutritious food into the body, what's going to happen? the body will get stronger and it will grow. Meaning, if marketing puts in good leads that can be closed by sales, that can be serviced by the product, that can be easily onboarded and maintained by operations, right? That can pay for what your service is and won't struggle with that, well, then the business is going to be successful and it's going to grow. But we don't think about it that way. We think, come on, shove it in, 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 without any thought to what are you shoving in your mouth. Are you doing what Dumb and Dumber did, which is when they ran out of clean cooking oil, they went next door and got motor oil?
You need to qualify that, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Because a French fry cooked in motor oil will kill you.
Fantastic.
So many jobs I've seen in corporate get sold by sales, and then all the margin is in ops, and then the field support function, right? Their P&L for that kind of tail of the business, there's no money there, right? So they're constantly like complaining about how they're in the red. And there's like, well, you gave away the service contract to win the sale. You didn't leave us any money. Now I'm on the hook for the entire cost structure. Oh, it's okay. The money's in operations. The money's in product sales. The money's in wherever. We're one big business. Kumbaya, right? And then at the end of the year, the field service manager's like getting crucified for their goals and their P&L, right? Like, it's qualification, and then hold to your guns. And if you're going to work as a team, qualify as a team, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Don't
very well said.
Out. Come on.
Yeah. So qualification is what basically prevents you from putting poison in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. And, as we were kind of covering it earlier, every single step of the journey is a qualification step. It is another part of the process, especially when you consider, and this number is growing actually every time. One of the guys on my team who does a lot of research is Mike, and every time Mike comes back to the table, he's gone out and done another bit of research, different industry, different version, or broad strokes, but where revenue is in the lifetime value side. Like, I just don't have enough bandwidth to remember all the different versions that I'm being presented now of proof upon proof upon proof. That's where the business makes its money. And so again, if those qualifications aren't post-transaction, you're going to miss out on those opportunities to provide impact to your clients and increase, your lifetime value, or in the case of what we do, increase their lifetime value, which is my job.
So it sounds like you're saying it's cheaper to keep an existing customer than it is to go find a new one? That it's actually worth it?
Which three statistics do you have memorized on that one, Rob? I'm sure you have at least three versions.
It's funny how it all goes together, right? I mean, it's all the same stuff from different angles. Absolutely 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. And such a clear problem. Solvable.
I want to do a little plug here just for a values thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these loyalty programs. Everyone wants free food, right? To Zach's point, just shove it in your face. But there's increasingly things like points for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That will allow you to take whatever your loyalty points are, whatever the reward you've gained, and donate it to a cause that aligns with your values, what you're passionate about. I think that's a really just cool emerging angle on this for loyalty. And I wonder, like, brand alignment, immediate implicit qualification, right? If you have that kind of rewards program, loyalty program, and people walk into your store and sign up, you immediately know something about them that's useful, right? You have an alignment in values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with that. However, I do see the market shifting away from that. I think that, you know, 5 years ago, I think was really when that would have taken off and done really, really well.
Okay.
What I'm seeing now is the success of things like the Sydney Sweeney "She's Got Good Genes" ad. And that to me is showing that people are caring less and less about social alignment now, and they're caring more and more about, does the thing do what I need it to do? In the case of what was it? American Eagle jeans make me look really attractive to boys, right? Like that was what it was supposed to do. And I think that is a really good niche sort of service, but I think that we're getting to a place where social alignment, I think, is sort of secondary, maybe even tertiary to what people are looking for. And I'll give you an example. So I have a friend who regularly donates plasma, and he complains to me all the time because he's like, I wish that they would just pay me more money. Just pay me more money. But what they do is they do a points system.
Right.
And so you get loyalty points for donating, and you can redeem those points. And if you have like 1,500 points, you'll get $5. It's just like absolutely outrageous, because how much money is this company making selling your plasma? A heck of a lot more than that. And it's like, if there was another donator, because donor company, right? Because there are a couple, but in our town, there's only the one. If there were another that came in and offered people more money instead of this stupid rewards program, they would have no donors. They would lose all of their donors because they would go to the one that gives them more money. Yeah, the values are roughly the same, but it's like I could use that money to donate it to some cause, or I can use it to feed my family in the case of my friend, right? Like it really, I think it boils down to understanding what the end outcome is. And I'll give you another example of this, okay? And this one is near and dear to my heart because I lived in Taiwan for 2 years. So in China, not to get too political here, but in China, they are currently, according to multiple Western media news outlets, they are currently enacting a genocide against the Uyghur minority. And the Uyghurs, what's happening is they're being sent to re-education camps. Parents are being separated from children. Children are being indoctrinated and basically brainwashed. And then those Uyghurs are being sterilized in these camps, and then they're being sent to the coastal cities where they get the privilege of performing slave labor for companies like Nintendo and Victoria's Secret and Disney and what else? Tommy Hilfiger, Calvin Klein, like all of these big, Puma, Jaguar, all of these big brands are utilizing that labor. And it hasn't been hidden. Most people are, if not aware of it, they could easily look it up. But they still buy things from Nintendo, buy things made in China that you can trace it back and show that it's been manufactured by slavery. And so to me, that's the biggest thing that shows that I don't know that we worry about, do our values, our moral values align, because people still buy things that are made by slaves and they say, I'm against slavery. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little cynical on this one. This got real heavy real quick. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Let's give everyone the right to be a complete hypocrite so they can feel good about themselves, right? So, yes, totally agree. And yes, everyone wants to virtue signal and assuage any guilt they have, even if they have very little. So people can be awful. Yes.
But I guess my point in bringing this up, just trying to bring this full circle and hopefully redeem the whole thing, is that I think that people care more about the outcome that you can create for them. And shopping with businesses, they're willing to put the outcome ahead of their morals, I think, in many instances, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, but they don't want to feel like it.
Yes. They don't want it. They don't want their hypocrisy plastered all over the 9 o'clock news.
Right. They want blissful ignorance that, yes, I'm a hypocrite, but I don't know it, so I'm okay with it. Right? It's why.
Yeah.
So how do you qualify them?
Good question. I think that it's on the company to, again, show this is what we care about and to actually live their vision, mission, and values. I think that, every company, look at Google. Google's freaking mission statement for years and years was don't do evil.
Right.
And then they changed it to just do good instead of don't do evil, right? Don't be evil. And things have changed drastically at that company. But I think that the main idea is that if the company is actually living their vision, mission, and values, then they're not trying to sell something to someone who doesn't need it.
Right.
And that's part of that qualification process, is making sure, do you actually need what I'm selling you? Or would you be better served by something else?
And to that point, it is a rare company that is actually living its vision, mission, and values. For too many, it's just boilerplate recruiting, marketing. You get there and it's not real.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that came to mind when you're when you were speaking, Zach. Is I was just wondering for a moment if Tom's Shoes has closed the loop, because they have that we'll put the shoes on a child who needs them. So is it the same kids making them? Like, is it a closed system?
Oh, zing! Oh, that was good. That was a burn. Yeah, did you guys hear
where their stuff is sourced from or how it's made? And I feel like doing the research on it to find out.
Well, and did you guys hear that actually a lot of these countries are telling Toms, stop sending us your shoes. We don't want your shoes, because they can get better quality shoes that better serve their purposes locally, right? There are cobblers who will take old tires and they will turn them into sandals that will last longer for these kids than these Tom shoes that fall apart very, very quickly. It's like, how's that for closing a circle?
I mean, we could turn it into a spiral, but let's move on. I think that this qualification matters way more than people give it credit for. Because qualification does more than just prevent you from selling a product to someone who shouldn't have it, but it's actually a form of brand reputation protection.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%, especially in the back funnel where it really counts, right? Because that angry person who leaves, again, post-transaction, let's say my friend didn't correct that mistake. Right? How exponential does that get?
On average, an angry customer tells between 12 and 20 people.
There you go.
So it's pretty painful, especially in like retail environments, food poisoning, poor service, et cetera, on average. And if it's a truly egregious situation, even more. Right. So what's the bar? What's its worth? How painful is it? What's the cost of doing nothing, if you will? Yeah, it's bad. So can you afford to put some of the solutions I sell into your retail establishment for $2,400 a year? Is that a reasonable insurance price to guard your service operation and indeed enforce it, right? Reward the good, incentivize the proper behaviors, and then coach those who need it. Maintain the accountability and oversight, right? I'd argue it's a bargain. It's a bargain to hold that promise and that continuous qualification throughout the fulfillment process.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Disney. If you look at their books, I think that goodwill accounts for like 20+% of their value.
Right.
Wow.
It's a massive amount, and it took them 100 years to get it, right? 100 years to build up that goodwill, and arguably the last 10 years they've started to see diminishing returns on that, and have done some things that may have damaged that goodwill. But like, it's protecting that goodwill through qualifying the right people, serving the right people, making sure that you can do the job right every time, right? That's really important. And that is it's a way to protect the value of your company outside of share price, outside of revenue, outside of cash flows, everything else. If you can protect that good name, then you can protect the value of your brand quite a lot.
Absolutely. I like that. So, bottom line is directly connected, right, to every single stage of the customer journey. And it's not just a handoff, it's a qualification process.
Right.
Perhaps you may want to include some sort of, what's this client's satisfaction level as a part of the handoff process, so that whoever's getting it handed to knows to go to work, right, on X, Y, Z, possibly even something slightly out of scope for them, something that needs to have another team member pulled in, or right, how do we solve the problem that's front and center for the client, not just put your head down and tick the boxes on your SOP.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the problem is, again, like we talked about earlier, how do you incentivize that and how do you train that?
Properly. Yes.
Right, because you can pay lip service and you can say, yes, we care about our customers, but then you also backhandedly say, but if you don't make your sales quota, you're out on your ass.
Yeah. Anything else to leave people with today?
The continuous nature and setting a cadence. Let's go back to the beginning, right? Closing the sale is not the end of qualification. It is just the beginning of the next stage of qualification. And that doesn't mean you ask the same questions over and over and over, right? Because you already figured out that they can afford it, right? You don't ask the same question, but you ask a more nuanced, more modern, and relevant version of that question, like, I submitted the invoice. When do you think it's going to be paid? Right? That's a different question. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Same topics, different questions. Keeps the discussion going.
Yeah, and just cadence indicates some sort of a rhythm and some sort of a frequency, right? I'd say like that word's super important because it continues to point out the consistency that makes that customer feel connected, and therefore it grows that lifetime value.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's accurate. I would add to this again, what you shoot, what's the quote? It's something like, what you measure improves, but the rate of improvement goes up if you measure and report, or something like that. I can't remember the quote. I wish I could. But the idea is simply, yes, we're tracking all of this data. We're having regular meetings about it. We're providing training about it. But at some point, we've got to put our money where our mouth is and actually reward people when they behave in the way that we want them to. Mm-hmm. If that's monetary, if that's in the form of attaboys, you know, like sometimes those can help too. Just don't over rely on a pizza party. You know, but providing some form of encouragement, I think, makes a huge difference.
And if we could get a little nerdy here, let's say before we start acting on results, let's be really sure we understand what our results mean, what is underlying the data, what drives the data, right? Most people don't understand, and they act hastily, and they start pulling levers. Mm-hmm. And we can apply a certain amount of statistical methods and rigor and correlation constants and A/B testing from existing data to find causal relationships. And, you know, it's worth taking your analyst and pointing them at it and asking a couple critical thinking questions to make sure you know what the hell you're talking about before you start beating people with a stick and creating another Wells Fargo situation.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'm gonna jump on this real quick and say, you mentioned causal relationships. So one of the things that's really important for people to understand is that correlation is not causation.
Right.
Causation takes a lot of academic rigor, and most of the time, causation is more quickly established through quantitative methods through qualitative methods than through quantitative methods. Meaning, get out of your office and talk to your customers, or hire me to come and do it for you, right? Because that's how you establish causation. People, it's very difficult to prove causation quantitatively, but it's a lot easier qualitatively if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to. Actually, I was going to say a much simpler version from the operational side, but like without data, you don't figure out how the thing works just by touching all the buttons. Like that's the last thing you want to do. And honestly, as somebody who's you know, had my team build stuff, and that's where people go to try and figure things out, right? Like, what happens if we change this part of the automation of the workflow? Like, don't
touch it.
Go for the data first before you try making changes. Don't make changes to machinery on gut instinct.
Oh yeah. No. Qualitatively talk to your customer, talk to your team, right? Yes. Talk to those people to understand things. Never screw with the machinery. Stop fiddling with it. You're not qualified. Don't pretend that you are, right? Trust Jacob. He's the expert. Yeah. Don't screw with it.
Trust your own team, even. Like, they know.
Yes.
You train them up, let them deploy it and manage it.
Because they may be qualified.
Yes.
There we go.
Amen.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, everybody. And we'll be back here next week with what's the Frank Zappa quote: more raw, unbridled buffoonery.
There you go. Giddy up.
Oh, geez. This is like a great episode.